Okay, so today we are going to look at how to find the slope and the y-intercept from a table of values. So to quickly review, a slope is our rate of change. We use the letter m in algebra to show that number in equations and to refer to it. And many times we use these symbols. That triangle is a delta symbol, and in math, that just means change. So this symbol here means the change in y over the change in x. Only linear relationships have a slope, and it's the slope that makes them linear, because the slope, whenever we have the same change in y and the same change in x over and over, it creates a straight line on a graph. If the line is increasing from left to right, then it is a positive slope, and that m will be a positive number. If the line decreases left to right, then we call that a negative slope, and that m value is a negative number. Vertical lines on a graph have an undefined slope, and horizontal lines have a zero slope. So I want to go and show you some examples. Actually, not yet. Let's look at y-intercept real quick. So y-intercept is that point where the line crosses over the y-axis. And so on a 4-quadrant graph, it would be here. Let me go back. And on a 1-quadrant graph, your y-axis is right there. So B is that number. The y-intercept is a point, and so it has two numbers. It has an x and a y number. The x part is always 0. The y part is typically the number we're looking for, because that's the number we're putting into the equation. So in a table, we're going to look for the 0 in x, and the number next to it, that y value, is our b, or our y-intercept. So here's the zeros up here at the top, and -4 would be our b. So we're going to look at some examples now. Go back to my desktop. All right, so I didn't get this ready before. Okay, so I came up with some examples that have some meaning, and the first one we have here is weight and cost. So if we're buying something by weight, there we go. Okay, so if we're buying something by weight, we might see a table like this. And so here we have the weight is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Maybe this is ounces, maybe it's pounds. And our cost is 12, 16, 20, 24, and 28. So my instructions, two things I want to do is I want to find my slope and I want to find my y-intercept. And when I do that, then I can plug both of those into my slope-intercept equation. So the first thing I like to do is look for the y-intercept. And I notice there's no 0 here. So the y-intercept, I'm going to have to do a little bit of extra work for. So since I don't see the y-intercept, or the 0 and the x, I'm going to go ahead and find the slope. So I remember that slope is change in y over change in x. So I always look at the y side first. So from 12 to 16, that is an increase of 4. From 16 to 20 is an increase in 4. From 20 to 24, there's an increase of 4. And from 24 to 28, there's also an increase of 4. Since that is a constant, that is my change in y. If it wasn't constant, then I would need to look to see if the x side was constant, or if maybe they skipped a number. So I'm going to come over here to the x side, and from 2 to 4 is an increase in 2. From 4 to 6 is an increase in 2. From 6 to 8 is an increase in 2, and from 8 to 10 is an increase in 2. So the change in my x values is an increase in 2. Since they're all increasing, those are positive numbers. I don't need to denote that over here. So then I just need to simplify. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my m value is 2. Then I'm going to look, I need to find the 0. And since I can see the pattern on each side, I can work backwards, because what I notice is that 0 would be the entry just above this 2 right here. And so if I was to back this up 2, I'm going to say squeeze that in right there, 0 to 2 would be up 2. Keep that same pattern. I could back this up 4. So the 4 in front of this would be 8, and that would stay in my pattern of, hey, 8 to 12 is plus 4, and 0 to 2 is plus 2. So that keeps my pattern. So the point that's missing that would be my y-intercept is 0, 8. So our b value is 8. So now I plug in the 2 for my slope, and I plug in the 8 for my y-intercept, and I get the equation y equals 2x plus 8, and that would be my equation. All right, so for the next one, again, I'm looking for m and b, and I automatically see this 0 right here. So when I see the 0 here, I know that this number right here is going to be b. So b is 8. So now I can find my slope. And again, I remember my slope is change in y first over change in x. If you did it opposite, it would not work out the same. It would not be correct. So I'm going to look at my y values. From 8 to 11 is an increase in 3. From 11 to 14, I'm going up 3. And from 14 to 17, I'm going up 3. So my change in the y values is 3. Over here, this is an easy, quick to glance at. It's going up 1. So my change in x is going up 1. So 3 divided by 1 is 3. So my m value is 3, my b value is 8. Plug that in, y equals 3x plus 8. All right, and then we have a horizontal table. Sometimes we see horizontal tables. So I want to make sure to expose you to all the different kinds of tables you could see. The x is on the top, the y is on the bottom, and I'm looking for my y-intercept first, and I don't see the 0 here. I do notice, however, that these are increasing by 10, so that will be easy to work backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and find my change in y over change in x to find my slope. So from 22 to 18 is actually decreasing 4. And then 18 to 14 is also decreasing 4. 14 to 10 is decreasing 4. And 10 to 6 is decreasing 4. So my change in y is negative 4. When it's a decrease, you want to make sure you put that negative there with that number. And then my change in x on the top, we already saw this was pretty simple to spot. It's counting by 10, so that is an increase of 10. So my slope is negative 4/10, and I can simplify that. I can scale down by dividing the top by 2 and dividing the bottom by 2. And so here I'm going to get negative 2/5 as my slope. And then I need to go find my y-intercept. So again, to find my y-intercept, the easiest way is to put a 0 in this x column, or this x row right here. And so I can very easily notice this way. If I go back 10, go back 10, I get 30, go back 10, I get 20, subtract 10, I get 10. And so if I subtract 10 more, I get 0. And here, and if I was to go backwards, because I need to go back, this would be plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 4 more is 14. Plus 4 more is 18. Plus 4 more is 22. So 22 plus 4 would be 26. So then to check that this fits the pattern of negative 4, 26 minus 4 is 22. And 0 plus 10 is 10. So my b value is 26. And my equation is y equals negative 2/5 x plus 26. So we've worked backwards on 2 of these. I do want to show you what happens in some other situations. I have 2 more on the back here. And so this first one is, I've got some more negatives, so we've got to think about negatives real carefully so we don't get mixed up. So again, you'll notice there's no 0 here. So I want to go ahead and find my slope, change in y over change in x. So from negative 15 to negative 11, I have to think carefully. Negative 15 on a number line. If here's 0, negative 15 would be here. Negative 11 would be on this side of it. So negative 11, negative 7, negative 3. And so when I'm moving this way, I am increasing. Anytime we move to the right on a number line, we're increasing. So this is an increase of 4. Negative 11 to negative 7 is also an increase of 4. Negative 7 to negative 3 is also an increase of 4. So even though there are some negative numbers, the y values are increasing. The x values here start at negative 6. So again, if we have negative 6 here and it's going to negative 2, negative 2 is closer to 0, so that's also increasing. And you have to kind of count negative 6 to negative 2, that is increasing 4. Negative 2 to positive 2, that crosses over to this side, that's also increasing 4. And positive 2 to positive 6 is increasing 4. So we have 4 divided by 4, our slope is 1. So how do we find the 0 for x? This takes a little bit of number sense. So if I know that negative 2 is 2 away from 0 on the negative side, positive 2 is 2 away from 0 on the positive side, then I know exactly in the middle is going to be 0. So then I just need to figure out what number is exactly in the middle of negative 11 and negative 7. And so I could draw a little picture up here, negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7. So if I'm looking for the exact middle of these two, we go 2 that way and 2 that way, and so it would be negative 9. So negative 9 is my b value. So the way we would write this equation is y equals 1x minus 9. And the best way to write that is y equals x minus 9. All right, and we have one more. Okay, so last one here. Again, there's no 0 in the x column, so I am looking for the slope first. Change in y over change in x. I go from negative 3 to positive 6, so that's definitely an increase. And it's 3 and 6, that's going to be an increase of 9. 6 plus 9 more is 15. 15 plus 9 more is 24, so the change in y is a constant 9. Over here, from negative 8 to negative 6, that is increasing 2. Negative 6 to negative 4 is increasing 2. Negative 4 to negative 2 is increasing 2. So my slope is it is positive 9/2. And in algebra, we want to leave that as an improper fraction. That improper fraction is simplified. There's no common factor to take out, so we're going to leave it as 9/2. But we have to find our b value. And again, we're looking at this pattern. If I was to keep adding to the very next value, negative 2 plus 2 would be 0. And then I could do 24 plus 9 is 33. So this is our b value. So I have y equals 9/2 x plus 33.